Hey, Ben, week number 1, we got 2 different workouts for you. We got an A, we got a B. I'm gonna go ahead and get that set up for you. I would normally run through exactly how to read my programs and my sloppy handwriting that I have, but you know me long enough that I can give you the abbreviated version. We're gonna be doing 4 rounds of everything, so each superset, you have A1, A2, A3, A4, 4 rounds of the A group before you move on to the B group. The A group is going to concentrate on your core, so you are going to be just obliterating your core before you move on down to the B group, which is going to be much more metabolic. That's in both A and B. However, for the first one in workout A1, it is going to be ice skaters, because I do want you to get that heart rate elevated a little bit before you knock out some of those ab workouts to make sure that your body can activate that core even when you're gassed a little bit. So, little brief reminder on ice skaters. We're not doing them for speed, you're doing them for explosiveness. Try and jump as far as you can every single time. Get your balance about you before you go and jump back. Make sure that you are exploding and make sure that you're not jumping off balance. We don't want any silly injuries here, especially just starting things out. This exercise starts our Core on Fire series. We have a V crunch. Now, despite the name, there wasn't really a better name out there. It is not a crunch. You're not crunching your body. Crunches and sit-ups suck. So that's just all in the name, but follow the prompts and your back and your neck will say thank you very much for doing that. So the V comes, we're going to get down on the ground first. The V comes from the shape that your body's going to take. I always thought mine was more of an L shape, but you know, it works. So feet up, not straight up. You're going to have a little bit of an angle. Put your hands out against your legs. So arms nice and straight out. They're resting about the side of your knees. Now, what you're going to do, your movement, is I'm going to try and slide my hands up my legs to touch my feet. They're not actually going to do that, but that's what I'm going for. I'm going to slide up as far as I can. My abs will contract insane amount, but my back stays straight because I'm not focused on rounding my back. I'm just focused on that push and up. When you push up, try and hold yourself up there for about 1 second. Not that long, just that 1 second hold, and then control yourself as you come back to the ground so you're not bouncing off the ground. So we're not trying to go like this just to get through it. And that my abs don't contract at all. That's just more of a hip and a shoulder blade exercise, which sucks. So make sure you're going nice and controlled. Slide your hands and lower yourself under control. Here we're going to stay on the ground. You are going to get in plank position. Now, plank position on your forearms, and I'll show you here in a sec. Whenever I show a new client, or truthfully any client of that matter, especially after we've already done a core exercise in the V crunch, so your core is already kind of toasted right now. When it comes to getting in a good plank position, I would rather your butt stick way up in the air versus your hips dropping down and you have that arch in your back. And I'll show you exactly what I mean here in a sec. Also, the wider your feet, the more stability you're going to have. So if this is your first day, you might want a little more stability. Makes it a little bit easier to stay in that solid plank position. We're going to do a plank army crawl, which means we're going to be in that plank position on our forearms, and you're going to crawl up 2 times on each arm. So 1, 1, 2, 2, and then you're going to crawl yourself back to starting position. Your feet aren't going to move. The rest of your body's not going to move. The only thing that moves on your body is your forearms. So the rest of you will stay nice and solid. So let me go ahead and show you exactly what I'm talking about. Let me grab a mat here because, heck, the floor hurts. So, you got a yoga mat, so you're all set for this. So, I'm in plank position. Here's what I'm talking about with your butt. If you can keep a nice level, straight back, that's awesome. If it's a little bit difficult right off the bat for you, and you gotta stick your butt up in the air a little bit, I'm perfectly fine with that. What I don't wanna see is this. This is where it's gonna get you in trouble. This is where it's gonna hurt your back. So make sure you're either level or you're sticking up a little bit. Now, the crawl. I'm on my forearms, my fists are under my chin. I'm gonna go 1, 1, 2, 2, and then I'm gonna crawl it back. That's 1, 1, 1, 2, 2. Crawl it back. You are going to, you're going to 10. These are hard, no question about it. So if you can't get all 10 right in a row, don't worry about it. Let's say you get 6 and you just, you got to take a break. Your abs are on fire. They feel like they're going to tear apart. Rest, get up on your knees, give your arms a little break, shake them out. Give yourself about a 20 to 30 second rest. Try not to go over 30 seconds. And then get right down into it. Get your next 4. Just make sure you get all 10 before you move on to the next set. The next exercise. Here we're still on the floor. Again, finishing out that core group. We're going to go with a leg raise. So we're going to be laying on our back, which I'll do here in a second for you. And we're going to raise our legs about 8 inches, not too high. If you go too high, it becomes less of an ab exercise and your hips will actually take over. So you're just going up just a little bit. And then when I lower them back down, I'm gonna tell you to, what I call, have your heels kiss the ground. So a very slight touch on the ground. You're not trying to bounce your heels off the ground or anything. So what it's gonna look like, I'm right here, my feet are together. Try and keep them together as much as you can. And I'm just gonna raise them just a little bit. Let me back up a little so you can see my feet a little bit better. I'm just gonna raise them a little bit and right back down. I'm gonna kiss the ground with my heels and raise them up again. Nothing, I don't wanna do this. I don't wanna slam them down because again, that's not an ab exercise. That's more of just the momentum of me hitting the ground and that bounce sending my legs back up. If you need to, my hands are at my sides, but if you want to hold on to something behind here, I have a sandbag back here that I can hold on to. Gives me a little bit of a counterweight, so it keeps myself nice and steady. That's perfectly fine as well. Just make sure, again, you control how high your legs are going. Try not to go more than 12 inches or so off. Now we are into Group B. So Group B is going to be more metabolic based. Our core is already on fire. It is livid. It's angry at us. And it is contracted as hard as possible. Even when we're just standing here talking, my core is just tight, which is perfect. That's exactly where we want it to be. We want your body to understand it can function with a contracted core the entire time. Excuse me. We're going to do a continuous inchworm. Okay, so an inchworm is usually when you stand up tall and you climb yourself out to push-up position, and then you climb yourself back and stand up. We're gonna take out this whole standing straight up portion of it, and we're gonna squat down. We're gonna start in this position. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna climb out to push-up position. Let me grab back here. I'm gonna climb out to push-up position. So I'm nice and flat. Try not to do this. Try and get your hips down nice and solid so your core is engaged. And then I'm going to climb back to that squatted position right here. And then I'm going to go again. So again, we're doing that inchworm, but it's a continuous one. You're not getting the break of standing straight up. Again, and I will say this forever basically, but especially for these first couple days, possibly these first couple weeks, while you are getting the hang of all this stuff, if you can't get the full number, like for instance, inchworms, you got 10 of them. Let's say I get to 7 and I am just gassed. Stand up, take a couple slow, deep breaths, maybe shake out your arms, shake out your legs, 20 to 30 seconds, try not to go over 30, and get the next 3. Finish out all 10 before you move down to B2, but still make sure you get out. This one has a little bit of a option to it. It is an alternating reverse lunge. Okay, everyone's either done reverse lunges before or we've heard about them. So we're gonna alternate the reverse lunge. I did put on your program with hop, and I'm gonna show you exactly what that means. That's an option, okay? If you can do it, great. It's gonna add to that metabolic hit. If you can't at this point in time, don't worry about it, all right? So reverse lunge, we're gonna take a big step back. Make sure it's a long step back. That serves two purposes. One, it will engage more muscles in your legs, which is exactly what we want. We don't want everything. If you take a tiny step, way too much pressure on my knee here. I want to take a big step back, so when I go back, it's not only my quad, the front of my legs, but my butt is engaged, that's doing some work, and my hamstring is doing some work too. So I have 3 muscle groups working instead of 1. Plus it's gonna save my knees a little bit. Now we're just gonna go down, not to the ground. See how low I am? I want that kind of nice, almost like it feels like a 90-degree bend. And if you're gonna add the little hop in there, this is where you do it. You hop just a little bit, you get up. Did you notice how my leg, or my front foot, didn't even really get off the ground in the hop? It kind of just hopped up onto my toe. That's all you need. So, go down, little hop, back, and then we're gonna alternate, so now you're stepping back with your other one. If you need something to the side, kind of like a box or anything like that, to where if you lose balance, you can put your fingertips on and kind of help yourself out, perfectly fine. Just try not to put too much pressure so that you're doing as much as you can to hold yourself up nice and tall, as opposed to depending too much on something else. Mountain climbers with a kickback. Now, most of us have done mountain climbers before, or at least heard about them. I added the kickback in because when most people do mountain climbers, they go really fast. And if you're doing just a HIIT workout, that's great. Speed is kind of your friend when you're doing that, as long as you keep proper form. I added in the kickback because I do want you to slow down just a little bit, and the kickback forces you to do that. Also, it will engage that core and those glutes just a smidge more than a regular mountain climber would do, which, hey, whoever complained about their core being too much involved, right? So, let's get on down here. I'm gonna get my bracelet out of the way. We're gonna be in push-up position. Now, if I'm gonna climb with my left leg first, I'm gonna go right into that kickback here. So the kickback is you're just gonna kick your leg up as high as you can after you climb in. So on that climbing part, I'm gonna try and get my left leg, my left knee to my left elbow. That's my goal. You don't actually have to get all the way in. And then I'm going to kick back. So right leg, kick back, left leg, kick back. You can still do this relatively quick, but it's gonna slow you down just enough to where your core keeps constant tension, and that's always a winner. Last one we do, we're out of breath, last one of the B group of the series. We're gonna slow things down a little bit. We're gonna allow you to get on your back, and we are just gonna do a hip bridge. We're gonna get those hamstrings involved, we're gonna get those glutes involved. This is gonna be not only a great recovery, because it's slowed down from the majority of our exercises today, but it's also gonna make sure your hips, your glutes, and your hamstrings are staying involved, and you're not putting too much pressure on your knees, which, again, that's a huge problem with the majority of people who are working out nowadays, is their knees are doing way too much, and they end up getting themselves injured or they tweak something. We wanna make sure that doesn't happen for you. So, coming on down to the ground, you're gonna slide your heels back as far as you can, as close to your butt as you can while you're still on your flat feet. And all we're doing, nice and simple, we're just gonna take our hips, we're gonna raise them up to the sky as high as possible so we get that really tight squeeze in our glutes. We're gonna hold it for 2 seconds up at the top because the hamstrings love a good hold, and then we're gonna lower nice and slow. We're not gonna bounce on the ground, kind of reset yourself, and then we'll go again. So this is not a speed exercise. You're going to 20. You should have no problem getting all 20 because, again, you can go nice and slow at your own pace. This is all about when you bridge up, when those hips get as high as possible, you feel that really, really good squeeze at the top.